don't worry, it looks worse than it is. Oh wait, I mean, it looks better than... I'm alright. It's just another day. I'm gonna explain this and work in the morning. You know, I didn't think freedom would be like this, but I guess that's me being a bit hopeful. I am just legal after all. The Buggery Act, enacted by Henry VIII in 1533, made it punishable by death if two men slept together. It was then reduced to imprisonment in 1861, and then it was abolished in 1967, where homosexuality became legalized. So it was illegal to be gay for 434 years. It's crazy, isn't it? And if you recall, that was it. You didn't have a life. Look at Alan Turing, man who won us World War II, chemically castrated and then committed suicide. We live in a crap time. But it's gotta get better. Especially for the kids to come. They can't live like this. Tastes like a night I'll never remember and a lot of bad life choices. See me. I love going out. Clubs, bars, I'll be there. It's funny when you think about it though, isn't it? Like, where you drink becomes your community. Like, think about it. Your local town pub. That fancy cocktail place you like. That dingy corner bar down the street that can sell you shots cheaper than chips. You know the type. Where you drink becomes your community. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out. I don't exactly fit in at a town pub or anything. No. I, instead, go to the gay bars. Apollo, the King's Head, the London Apprentice, the Princess of Prussia, and most of all, heaven. Did you know that Jeremy Norman made it to be Britain's Club 54? I mean, I wish. That's the best place I've ever been to. Nobody gives a shit about the colour of your skin, what you're wearing, what you've got, who you like. It's freedom. But with booze, debauchery and disco. What more do you want? An angel's paradise for sinners. I mean, honestly, I can go out with my friends, have a great time, meet new friends, and get well acquainted with others, if you know what I mean. Oh, and the DJs. Tony D, Frankie Knuckles, God, they can work a crowd, let me tell you. I can't explain it, really. What it's like. It's a place free from judgment. A place to be with people who understand you. I mean, sure, it's behind closed doors and underground and on the hush-hush. But it's the best bloody place to be, let me tell you. Shit, look at the time. I've got to go.
Relax, don't do it when you wanna go to it. Relax, don't do it when you wanna come. Relax, don't do it when you wanna suck it to it. Relax.
I know what you're thinking. A man wearing heels. How scandalous. I once had one man say to me that, "You're not a real man." As hurt as I was, I replied saying, "When you learn to comfortably take 8 inches up your arse, then come back to me and tell me who the real man is." People get awfully squeamish around it, don't they? Sex. I mean, it's perfectly natural, isn't it? But then again, I suppose when you go into the various ways you could have it, it can get a little bit, complicated. And to answer your question, yes, I've practically done everything there is. Oral, anal, threesome, gangbang, BDSM. God, should have been a rent boy. Would have made more money than a waiter on minimum wage, that's for sure. Do you ever have that moment where you remember the best sex you've ever had? Whether it be with a one-night stand, a regular hookup, or a lover. But that sex has been so good and nothing has quite lived up to it. I remember I had this one man, beautiful man, sweet, charismatic, gentle, lovely jawline, black swishy hair, clean, well-built and very good down. Anyway, the sex was so hot it made the Sahara Desert look like an ice rink. It's just a shame what happened afterwards. I think you know where this is going. The dreaded gay plague is lurking round the corner. I have AIDS. The anally admitted disease. I'll die because of it. Because people in power refuse to mention it or give appropriate funding to prevent or cure it. By the end of the year, I will be a name on a piece of rock. And I will be part of the 46.4% of people who contracted AIDS through gay sex. I'll be put on dopamine, but that will only prolong the effects. I'll still suffer the weight loss, muscle and joint pain, body rashes, and night sweats. And I'll die. All because people couldn't talk about sex. Funny, isn't it?
Come on,
1 hour, 43 minutes, 50 seconds left. And then I can leave this bloody college. Does anyone else just sit down, start talking to yourself, and then find that you go down a rabbit hole of thoughts? I find music's a kind of escapism, you know? A chance to break away from reality and go into yourself. Makes me feel safe. I know that sounds like some kind of hippie shit or something, but it really does. You feel this connection with somebody who you've never met, probably never will meet, but there's this connection, something you can relate to. Am I making any bloody sense? Just blare out David Bowie and feel normal. You know? But I guess a lot of musicians do that. Dusty Springfield, Queen, Katie Lang, Janice Ian, Boy George, Pet Shop Boys, Elton John, Sorry, I'm prattling on, aren't I? But it's nice to know, you know, that these people who aren't normal, but they're loved by everyone. It's probably because their music's really bloody good, but... And I know they get a lot of hate for them being them. But I admire it. They make great music. They know who they are and they're just... them. Maybe one day I'll be like that. One day I can just be me. One day. But right now, 1 hour, 40 minutes, 20 seconds left. Why can't I just go to school and be normal? Is that too much to ask for? You'd think people would stop looking at you with this expression of questioning. Is he, isn't he, top or bottom? It's none of their business anyway. And then they act all surprised when they find out. It's not like gay people haven't been around before. The history of homosexuality dates back to BC. But again, that implies that I expect them to read. We actually live in a time where politics cares about us, as funny as that sounds. Same-sex couples can legally adopt. You can be out and serve in the military, which is pretty stupid, honestly. The fact that you couldn't serve in the military just because you liked somebody of the same sex. The age of consent for same-sex sex was dropped from 18 to 16 to match that of heterosexuals because apparently you had to be older to have gay sex than straight sex. Sorry, I'm angry. Because it's ridiculous, isn't it? These are simple things that LGBTQ plus people haven't had before and have had to fight for just because they like somebody of the same sex or are considered not normal. Civil partnerships became a thing. You can now legally change your gender. And then there's the Equality Act, which prohibits the discrimination of sexual orientation in facilities, services, and education. Wish they worked a bit harder on that last one. Don't get me wrong, a lot's changed and I'm grateful to be living today and being allowed to be me. But it doesn't stop the fear. You know? The fear of what people will say. The silent judgment on the street. The dread to go to school just to see them. Bunch of boys picking a fight because you're a bit different. But I shouldn't be paying those prats any mind, should I? We all know they can't cut the academics and they'll never leave home. And we know they're all that tough because they're compensating for something. And I'm not talking about intelligence.
What we need.
Let's have a kiki.
I wanna have a kiki.
Lock the doors.
Right.
Let's have a kiki. Motherfucker.
I'm gonna let you have it.
Let's have a kiki. I wanna have a kiki.
Dive, turn, work.
Let's have a kiki.
Hello everyone. Today's lecture is on media and the use of inclusive representation, so I hope you've all done the reading for this week. Start off with an easy question. Can somebody tell me a media platform that includes LGBTQ plus representation? Couple of examples. Sex Education, The L Word, Ellen, Queer as Folk, Queer Eye. Hopefully these are starting to ring some bells. Good example would be RuPaul's Drag Race has given an insight to an LGBTQ plus experience, as well as developing a lingo. So for example, if I were to say, "Yes, mama, you are serving me boots the house down runway, oh, grrr." It's just an example. So they could be targeted to more of a niche audience, we could argue. Whereas if we looked at something more mainstream, such as soap operas, Brookside had the first recurring gay character, Gordon Collins, in 1982. They then had the first recurring lesbian character in 1994 with Beth George. So there was a gap between the first gay and lesbian character, and that's still an issue in terms of representation ratio between the two. And can I just say, it's actually really refreshing to hold this lecture today. I'm from a generation where Section 28 played a part in my school life. Thanks, Maggie. And that meant anything relating to LGBTQ plus matters was prohibited and banned, such as literature. And if there was any bullying about it, teachers couldn't specify that it was about gender identification or sexual orientation. That ended in 2003, and we can now have these conversations, which is great. And it's up to you where they go next, because I'm a 30-something-year-old man and I'm settled, so it's up to you now. Anyway, back to the topic at hand.
But to say that I'm a rainbow, to tell me that I'm bright, when I'm so used to feeling wrong.
Hello, my name's Lewis, and I'm a gay man. Surprise! Oh, you didn't see that one coming. I'm not here to spill you a sob story and tell you that being gay in the 2020s is a gosh awful thing. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not perfection by any means. I've been bullied for being more effeminate. I've been called a faggot on the streets. I've been looked at with judgmental eyes because I wear what I like. Unfortunately, that's just fact. I wish I could tell you what this new decade will present for the community, but I can't. That history is yet to be written. What I can tell you though is, although we've come leaps and bounds for equality, there's still a lot that needs to be done. For example, conversion therapy is still legal to be conducted in the UK. Gay and bisexual men cannot donate blood for 3 months after having sex, whilst heterosexual men can. There's still no non-binary option on passports. It's still strictly male and female. And it's still illegal to be gay in up to 72 countries, including Papua New Guinea, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, Jamaica, and in these countries and more, it's a crime punishable by death. So, whilst representations and laws have really helped the movement for the LGBTQ plus community, and we have grown closer to equality, the fight still continues. So what I ask of you today, because you've heard me rant for about 20 odd minutes now, what I ask of you today is, what will you do? Will you condemn me and people like me for being who we are and loving who we love? Will you stand idly by and just allow us to exist and fight our own battles? Or will you fight with us? Even if it's as small and simple as signing a petition or supporting a local community event, because they do make a difference. As for what happens next for the community and what this decade will do for the history, it's in your hands. What will you do with it? I hope it's something beautiful.
Well, it makes me feel alright.